By heading into game 2 for picks and bans, this is something that Memory of Gabe has usually made adjustments for in terms of the Janus pick. They let that go through against Noble before, and then they pick it up themselves. They didn't win that second game with the Janus, but it's something that they're always annoyed about, whether they're playing against it or whether they have it.
Well, Sercat banned away by Eager yet again. Love this ban. Like I mentioned, when I think of a Memory of Gabe really being one of the best teams in North America, I think of them picking that Sercat and really gaining pressure through it. Hercules going to be the other ban for Eager, trying to throw it away so that now a Memory of Gabe has a choice. Do we pick the Janus and take it away from Best, or do we pick Zeus? But either way, Best is getting one of those top-tier mid laners.
Which is why we see these bans coming out of Team Eager. Memory of Gabe is going to take the Zeus, and I wouldn't be surprised here if Eager take away the Sylvanus. They don't necessarily have to take the Janus here. It's not very likely that Memory of Gabe is going to run Zeus and the Janus here, but actually going to stick with the Erlang Shen here, not electing to take Sylvanus. So we could actually see the huge AoE control from Memory of Gabe between those two gods.
Erlang Shen and Terra. Again, that's probably going to be Aror on the Warrior, Divios on the Guardian, but Divios is in the solo lane and Aror is the support player. That's just how Eager likes to roll. I wouldn't be surprised if Eager doesn't even lock in Janus here. It's just the threat of that Janus. Maybe Scylla works better in this particular composition, or a different mid laner for the Best. The end of the story is that last time, that was the big difference maker for me, is that Hurriwind was on a god that could not give them pressure, which allowed djpernicus to be on that left side so heavily.
And there's also Ra between the Janus, Scylla, and the Ra. And with Erlang Shen onto Aror sitting in that mid lane, this is something that Eager has demonstrated works very effectively. You find the pin, you don't necessarily need the cripple, you just need to set up those easy beams. But the global pressure last game was really good with the Terra and the Janus. Going to stick to that again. The question is, how are they going to synergize this with Zapman and djpernicus? Are they going to try to go for the same strategy where they're going to sit against Snoopy, or they're going to elect to start looking for more ways to get Best ahead?
I mean, if I'm in Memory of Gabe, I'm okay with DJ picking that Bastet once more, because you've got so much pressure for your draft already. The complete opposite of what you had in game 1. You've got Zeus, Sylvanus, Thanatos. That's early game, early game, early game, across the board, and I love it. Bastet is going to be banned away by Memory of Gabe. Still a little bit more difficult for a character like Zeus to deal with Bastet, as he is very, very immobile. Lots of jungle bans coming out here. Bastet, Fenrir, Thor, last one coming here for Memory of Gabe. And Thanatos, this may be just in the jungle right away due to the low assassin pool that's left over.
It's very possible. I wouldn't be surprised though. Cynosure could potentially lock in the Naja. It's something that he's been playing before at a very high level, and Whalrus has played Thanatos in the solo lane before. If Memory of Gabe wants to switch things up and go for a very early game, I wouldn't be surprised for a double assassin, considering the fact that their last game draft was more mid-game oriented, but they fell too far behind off of that, I would say, rather silly first blood from Hurriwind, and then the great rotation from Zapman picking up 2 more kills.
So Ratatoskr going to be locked in here for DJ. Used to be first pick potential for him whenever Ratatoskr was one of the best assassins. Still very, very strong, even after his most recent nerfs. Synergizes very, very well with Eager's draft. Medusa locked in for Snoopy, a hunter that many have really favored. And then Batz, that's going to be for Cynosure. So it is the double assassin composition. We talk all the time about Warrior versus Guardian in the solo lane. How about Assassin versus Guardian?
Assassin versus Guardian, well, considering Divios is going to go mark the Vanguard, it's not going to do too much damage on the side of, against Whalrus, rather. So Whalrus is going to probably have to start out rotating Divios, and that's going to be the goal of him. Unless he's going to get a lot of pressure here from Cynosure on the Batz. That could be a strategy that Memory of Gabe elect to do. Shut down Divios in that solo lane, try to keep taking advantage of it, and then look for more control around that speed and blue buff jungle side.
Well, we're ready to go for game 2, and Memory of Gabe trying to bounce back after a very convincing loss up against Eager. All of a sudden, in Memory of Gabe, they're on a 3-game losing streak, totally. They lose 2-0 to Noble and now lose the first one onto Eager, but Aror immediately gonna get first blooded. That didn't take long whatsoever, and Memory of Gabe said, we had too long without a kill in game 1. Let's just get the first one off the board right away.
I mean, this is the early game right off the bat for Memory of Gabe. The root into the Death Scythe, even the jump from Cynosure being committed just to find the kill onto Aror, and being credited for that was Cynosure on the jungle side. He's going to even back to base to pick up that Boots 1 off of that gold bounty and even get more pressure. Looking at the left-hand side, Eonic is going to sit in the lane with Snoopy, and this is something that you really should keep doing with a Sylvanus, considering he's one of the best supports to be able to clear a wave.
Zapman all by his lonesome this time around. On the right-hand side, you see djpernicus there. Hurriwind trading out a lot of damage there onto both Best and Aror. But I think Hurriwind may have gotten Chain Lightning, which is going to hurt his level 1 clear. He did, yes. So no Aegis Assault there, which is really how Zeus clears. Excellent at level 1. Though with Chain Lightning, still not poor clear.
It's not that bad to go Chain Lightning at level 1, considering they got a first blood out of it. Now, had they not gotten that first blood, definitely would have been a bad thing here, because Eager instantly taken away those little babies, and they should be able to sneak away the buff in time, but it looks like they're going to concede it.
The duo lane from In Memory of Gabe knows what's happening, and Best is in a lot of trouble. Rooted there, but a nice double pin is going to be good, but it's not good enough as Hurriwind hits the Chain Lightning, gets the bounces onto Aror as well. That Wisp is going to be enough, but Snoopy claims it for himself. And Memory of Gabe off to a much better start than they were in game 1. 3-0, less than a minute and 20 seconds in.
Who thought Memory of Gabe was out of the question to be able to get something back on the board here, despite the 3 losses that they may have had previously? They're able to bounce back mentally so well off of all of their losses, and this is what makes them such a top-tier elite team. You always have to be careful whenever you're against them.
And djpernicus trying to steal away the speed buff on the right-hand side. And in Memory of Gabe, they're not too worried about it. Cynosure already level 3. He's got a kill and 2 assists already, and that's a big reason why you see him right on top of that net worth. But DJ and Divios still okay on this right-hand side. They haven't lost a whole lot.
The only person that's truly struggling at this point is Aror with those 2 deaths. He's not going to get the same snowball start that he did the last game, considering he did get that first blood, but this is something that he's more than accustomed to. All he has to truly do is just get off those roots to set up the best with those easy unstable vortexes, and then the rotations from djpernicus on this Ratatoskr, having that global ultimate presence, despite the radius being reduced since the last patch, is still very effective in terms of the counter engages.
That's my only real concern when you were talking about Aror setting up for the best. And when you play this Erlang Shen, we usually saw it with the Ra, with the Zeus, gods that can really make a big impact if it's someone standing still for more than just a moment. But Janus does good damage, but it's not Ra or Zeus level on a standing still target. So Eager may be a little bit lacking in that damage department. Last time around, it was Zapman who really made up for that, and djpernicus. We're going to have to see if they're able to do the same here in game 2.
We see a little bit of a rotation on the right-hand side. djpernicus is going to get collapsed around, but Cynosure is only level 4. Has to respect the damage though between Hurriwind and Eonic. Going to concede that side of the jungle. Not even going to be able to take anything on the left. Everything's still down.
And that's good use of that ultimate there from djpernicus. He was in a lot of trouble because the dash got blocked immediately by either Eonic or Hurriwind, and so he has to use that ultimate. So even though Cynosure isn't level 5, despite those early kills and assists, it doesn't matter that much because DJ isn't going to be able to use his ultimate to really make a game-changing impact.
Haven't seen too much out of the soul lane quite yet between these two. Whalrus and Divios just quietly farming it away. Whalrus has been making the rotations a little bit for these Fire Giant Elementals, and like we mentioned before, there could be a potential double assassin pressure on this Guardian.
That's exactly what In Memory of Gabe want to do here on the right-hand side, it looks like, but Divios a little bit too seasoned for that to work on him. He knows exactly what's happening sitting underneath his tower. That's exactly what Divios wants to do. He doesn't want to fight anyone, really. He just wants to hang out in that soul lane, get some farm, press 4 whenever it's appropriate to help out his squad, and then just farm up until the middle or late game stages.
That's why he has the mana chalice, but djpernicus, he's not done yet. He's applying a little bit of pressure onto Snoopy. Zapman's going to be able to out-clear for this wave at least. No buffs being spawned here. Red buff has been taken from both sides for a little bit longer. The Oracles has respawned on the left, and that's something that Eonic is going to start up with Hurriwind right around the corner. Doing a good job also positioning his ward really offensively forward to spot out anyone coming from Eager.
That's exactly where we saw that ward that spotted out Cynosure on his global ultimate last game for Eager and their side. So I think In Memory of Gabe trying to use that exact same spot to make sure that DJ can't do the same thing to Snoopy with that very similar ultimate from Ratatoskr through the Cosmos. Overall, though, this is Eager still trying to play their style, slow it down, wait it out, lost a couple kills early, no problem whatsoever. This is more of Eager's playstyle that we've been used to seeing so far here in Season 4.
They still have a lot of control on the side of Eager once these teamfights truly happen, between Divios and Whalrus rotating in. Whalrus is going to bring more of a bigger punch with those death dives and with a potential execute, but Divios with the roots and the stuns and the Terra's blessing for the mobility, the cooldown reduction, that's going to be really annoying for Memory of Gabe. So they need to find more ways to get a little bit of head, because they found those 3 kills, but they're only up about 600 gold.
Yeah, Eager doing a very, very good job of farming. You see it's been pretty steady as far as that lead they've earned, but no additional gold really gained by Memory of Gabe off of that pressure gained by those kills. Aror checks in with his Hunter in the duo lane. Hasn't seen a whole lot of this left side in this set, but for right now, seems to be content just to pick up that farm where he can. This is you mentioned it earlier, Tully. This is an excellent turnaround from In Memory of Gabe. Definitely a little bit concerning that they lose 2-0 and then get stomped as hard as they did in Game 1, frankly. And now in Game 2, looking much more comfortable. And again, for me, it goes back to that draft in Game 1. Just didn't feel quite right.
No, not at all. They gave too much away to Eager that they were so comfortable with as well. You know, Divios onto this Batz, so taking that option away from them. He's still very comfortable on Ratatoskr, don't get me wrong, but it's just a different level of feel to it. You know, you don't see many people playing the Batz in ranked, whereas you're going to see a lot of Ratatoskr. So every individual player from Memory of Gabe knows how to play against Ratatoskr inside and out, but as a team collectively, it's only Eager that's truly running Batz, and if they're not scrimming against Eager, no team actually brings this out in these strategies and not knowing how to deal with a specific god. And this is why we see Eager being so successful in a lot of their SPL games, because nobody else really runs the same strategies.
I think a lot of people at home may say, well, Tully, these guys are pros. They've played against Bastet thousands of games. That's true. Oh, DJ in a lot of trouble in the middle lane. Force uses Purification there. Aror actually popped his ultimate as well, just in case. Only Fear No Evil. Great patience from Hurriwind to not drop that Lightning Storm, anticipating that Purification beats from djpernicus. But back to the Bastet discussion. I mean, yes, they've played against Bastet a ton, but Bastet in your ranked games or your casual games, it's completely different than in a competitive setting where a team is working together. Each god has little tiny things that you want to do in a competitive game that can differ from other assassins that make it difficult to kind of adjust when you haven't really seen that god necessarily.
Especially considering a lot of Bastets in rank will just look to split push and constantly avoid team fighting, but that's not something that Eager like to do. They like to apply pressure whenever they see a small weakness. In the last game, they definitely saw a huge advantage in terms of Zapman versus Snoopy, and that's why DJ heavily leaned on that lane with the Bastet. This is the early game damage pressure was just a little bit too much, but now not really having the same opportunities playing this Ratatoskr.
Whalrus just willing to box it out here with Divios on the right-hand side, but Divios just sitting in his monolith. He's got no worries, he's got no care in the world, basically, when he's boxing in there. And I thought DJ may try and make a play onto him, but Whalrus still about half HP. He also has gone for the Mark of the Vanguard, getting a little bit tankier, trying to be at least somewhat of a frontline presence for In Memory of Gabe, despite being in that double assassin composition. 8 minutes in, basically no action since the first few minutes of the game, where In Memory of Gabe got 3 quick kills before the minute-and-a-half mark.
And Mark of the Vanguard for Whalrus, despite being against a magical guardian in that soul lane, is still not a bad idea. Despite it giving you 10 physical protection, it also gives you 5 damage reduction from any source of damage. You have damage over time on the source of Divios' monolith, so that heavily negates it, as well as all the mini aggro that you're going to take. If you do connect with those death dives or the silences onto Divios, the minions will turn on you, and that's going to heavily make sure you don't take too much damage and that the death dive will out-sustain any sort of incoming damage you take.
Yeah, that tick damage from exploding that monolith definitely going to be heavily mitigated by that passive of Mark of the Vanguard. Love Snoopy's decision there to hold the wave near his tower just to make sure Zapman has to push himself a little bit farther forward to pick up what he can of the remnants of that wave, but no rotation whatsoever from Memory of Gabe to try and make something happen.
Eager's ahead gold-wise now off of that rotation from djpernicus here, applying more pressure onto Snoopy, as well as Aror earlier on into that duo lane. And this is something that is really surprising considering 3 first easy kills for Memory of Gabe. No responses from Eager. There haven't been truly any invades in terms of buffs. They took away some baby elementals, but nothing too serious on the board. And Eager has been doing a great job out farming.
Slow decline there for the lead that In Memory of Gabe had earned themselves previously. In fact, the experience difference is slightly in Eager's favor. Eager not really concerned about those 3 kills they gave up early on, like you mentioned. grouping up on the left-hand side in memory of Gabe, trying to force at least something. I think they've started to realize that their lead has dissipated. They got to get something going. But their composition is excellent at this stage in the game, but an Eagers can fight pretty well at this stage as well. You've got a warrior in the support, so you know he's going to be bringing some decent base damage around, as well as that Ratatoskr, excellent in the early stages.
Oh, we see a little bit of a boxing match, but Zapman's going to get rotated on. He's going to have to be watching out the pull here, diving under the tower. Great ultimate from Zapman. Could have been expecting that Fear No Evil.
But DJ's in the sky and hits 2 in the knockup. There's the knockup again in the Fear No Evil. Snoopy throws out the Petrify, but it's not enough as DJ picks up 2. Trying to run away from Whalrus, who has rotated, but Aror is going to be the one eating that hovering death as Whalrus makes his impact known out of the solo lane, picking up a kill. Divios is here. It's a 4v3 as in memory of Gabe is still down a player, but not scared to walk into the enemy jungle.
No, not quite yet. Eonic taking a little bit of damage from that monolith, but with the wisps should be fine. He has to be careful. His Hurriwind, though. Zapman is right behind him. TheBest as well on the top-hand side, and djpernicus has been rotating from the base this whole time.
Whalrus is back and trying to make it happen on a Zapman, but cannot find that death scythe quite yet. So red buff goes Eager's way. Despite losing 2 members, in memory of Gabe wanted to keep fighting there because they had forced djpernicus back. Once he rotates back in memory of Gabe says, all right, we're done now. You can have your buff and you can go back to farming.
Despite sometimes not winning team fights, you still have small windows to take advantage of, and Memory of Gabe recognized that. Unfortunately, Hurriwind didn't get in a position where they could snag away that red buff in time, getting very distracted there by 2 members of Eager. This is something that they're always capable of doing, playing from ahead, playing from behind. Eager's not going to let you just take away their buffs without any sort of contention.
Love that rotation from Whalrus as well. Didn't even have his teleport, and he showed up pretty early on in that engagement on the left-hand side. Divios wasn't able to teleport either, or didn't choose to if he had the option. Both walking over. That's the power of that global ultimate from Terra. Divios feels like he can make an impact without necessarily being in the lane, but Whalrus utilizing that extra movement speed, that semi-global ultimate, and of course, the Shield of Regrowth right away after the boots.
Having a lot of movement speed, 40% to be exact, once you do connect with that depth side, which is why a lot of Thanatoses and Herculeses, for example, anything with a self-heal, will elect to go for this item as it provides you a huge power spike in that early game. Now, it has received a little bit of a nerf in the last patch, going from 300 to 200 health, as well as the cost going from 2,000 to 2,200, but it's still a great item here once these team fights occur after the 10-minute mark.
Does Shield of Regrowth have CDR, totally?
I think it does. I believe it has cooldown reduction.
I wonder, man, if only someone in the office knew exactly how much CDR was and was also excited about that number.
Yeah, there might be somebody. I don't know who.
We could probably hear FDOT yelling from our office into the mics.
In a couple of seconds, yeah, he'll just start yelling.
After the delay. We'll wait for that, because I'm very confused as to what number CDR, Shield of Regrowth,
I hope
has.
he'll let us know later on.
I'm sure he will. No doubt about it. 4-2 in memory of Gabe, still in lead in the kills, but a little bit behind in gold at this stage in the game. Eager has done a great job of farming up. We've talked about it quite a bit. There hasn't been a whole lot of action since the 1.5 minute mark. Only 1 skirmish on that left-hand side. The good news for in memory of Gabe, though, is that Snoopy has been able to free farm very, very well. Definitely in harsh contrast to last game, Aror finds multiple with the top, but immediately it's that Fear No Evil. In memory of Gabe, turn the tables on the support and put him down. There's the Lightning Storm as Whalrus looking for the hovering death, but Zapman can't find the shots either. No one falls after Aror until a great chain lightning from Hurriwind. There's a detonate, and Best, rooted right outside of his portal, allows the Hunter to pick him up.
Zapman's not done yet, but he rolls into 3 people, but in the backline, Whalrus gets picked off as well. It's Zapman gonna get detonated on, and now djpernicus is gonna have to dash around underneath. That was 3 dead members for Eager, only able to pick up Whalrus. Great protection from Eonic, making sure that his mid laner stayed alive. He saved onto his Wrath of Terror for so long in that engagement.
Hurriwind trying to keep Divios out of this Gold Fury pit to try and secure it for in memory of Gabe. Doing a good job, but he'd killed himself for that objective. In memory of Gabe willing to take that trade, that is absolutely a willful decision for Hurriwind to sacrifice his life for the Gold Fury, but it catapults in memory of Gabe back into the lead. They pick up 2 kills and the Gold Fury as well. 400 gold, not a whole lot as far as the lead goes, but elite.
There's a difference between zoning and over-zoning, and this is something that Hurriwind has been having a lot of issues with in terms of defending Gold Furies. There was a past time when he was an Agni player, and he was protecting the Gold Fury around the enemy's red buff, way past the marker where you truly want to zone, because when you're that deep, there's no getting back out, especially when you're on a character like Zeus that doesn't have any natural escape. Especially, Divios positioned himself in such a way that it forced Hurriwind's back to be turned against djpernicus and everyone else that was coming from Eager. So this is not something you truly want to do in a game of Smite where you're not going to be able to have eyes in the back of your head.
Either way, Hurriwind falls for the Gold Fury, and in Memory of Gabe reclaim a slight lead that they once had early on in the game. If you're just joining us, in Memory of Gabe lost game 1 pretty handily to Eager. In fact, it was a shutout for the blue squad, and in Memory of Gabe with a quick surrender. This time around, definitely fighting back quite well. They picked up 3 early kills. Eager was able to farm it up, get back right even, but now after that Gold Fury, Memory of Gabe in the lead. Basically even all across the board until Zapman eats that Blink Fear No Evil on the left-hand side, forced to go up into the air, but it's not in time. Great rotation by Cynosure. It catches the rolling assault as well with that Fear No Evil.
Had that Fear No Evil just barely missed, Zapman gets out scot-free, but look at the relic cooldowns from Zapman. Yep. It just wasn't up in time. The duration of the Fear No Evil and the damage from Snoopy at this point, level 16 Medusa with that red buff. There was no escaping it for Zapman without those 2 relics available.
Good communication between a Memory of Gabe to understanding those relic timers. No coincidence that Zapman almost had his beads, but didn't quite. In Memory of Gabe, now going to take their 5v4 advantage, their power play, and try and secure this Portal Demon. Divios trying to be a little bit of an annoyance as well through space and time, but it's not enough. Portal Demon, it's shining blue. Not for Team Eager, but for Memory of Gabe, who also has a blue logo.
A little bit of blue, you know.
Coincidentally.
The Borg dog has a little bit of flavor and
Can we talk about how good their clan tag is?
I love it. Borked?
Way better than just like Gabe. I mean, Gabe would be all right, but Borked?
Borked.
Perfect.
What if they all borked when they...
Like, they were talking between games at LAN and they're, all right, guys, hands in. 1, 2, 3, borked.
That would be the best team chant ever. Whalrus taking a lot of damage. Rotation from Aror. It's going to force out the ultimate. This is something that Aror hasn't been really, truly doing this game compared to the last one. Making his presence known on this Erlang Shen, setting his teammates up for some of these kills, or at least for more pressure.
Tier 1 tower, getting siege down in the middle lane. No problem whatsoever. In Memory of Gabe able to take that. Zapman trying to answer back on the left-hand side, but with Whalrus rotating in the middle lane as well. Divios, they're trying to get this tier 2 as well. Fear No Evil already down. There's the Lightning Storm, well placed there by Hurriwind. He's going to eat that, the ultimate from djpernicus, though, as the dive is on. Great peel from In Memory of Gabe. Backs up. Everyone is going to reset and use those heals, courtesy of Eonic. Try and continue the siege, but again, Zapman, he's still on the left side. He's still getting that tower. Tier 2 falls for Eager.
And djpernicus is on the backhand side. Nice blink from Cynosure, and the juke from TheBest to avoid the depth side. He puts the portal on the ground. Cynosure taking a lot of damage. Aurora's going in. He finds the knockup. He finds the last in-hand, and now everyone from Eager, they want more.
But it peels everyone off of Hurriwind, which allows Divios to pick him up. Great Aegis from djpernicus, but it's not going to save his life as Whalrus still able to confirm that kill. Best has returned, courtesy of Through Space and Time, but Zap is here as well. Around the backside, trying to pick up Whalrus, who has no ult. A lot of damage put onto him, though, by Snoopy and the jungler. Snoopy still trying to chase him down. Not going to be able to do so because Divios is the one distracting.
Trying to sacrifice his own life. Divios is going to pop the meditation, finds the root, and the double dash back into Zapman, finding the snipes onto Eonic. Just not enough damage on the tanky Guardian Death side. Off the mark. Nice rollout from Zapman, being able to avoid that one. Whalrus would have done a lot of damage there. Could have potentially followed up with another silence to find a kill. And just like that, Eager, what looked to be like a losing situation, respond back beautifully with a split push on the left from Zapman.
Gotta give shout out to Divios right at the end of that engagement. That death sight that was locked on, coming for him until he throws up the wall right in front of him, blocking it off. Really heads up play out of the solo laner, who's there just frontlining for the squad. No problem whatsoever. 1-0 and 3 for him on that tanky Guardian. But you're right, Eager just plays that so patiently, and you gotta give a shout out to their relic usage as well. That is one thing that always separates the great pro players from the good pro players, is how well you can use your relics and how well you can time them. Best able to survive because of a well-timed Aegis on the Lightning Storm. Zapman, DJ, all really good relic usage from them. But Gold Fury, goes very, very quickly in Memory of Gabe. They're second of the game. Divios and DJ are both on the right-hand side, so Eager not going to be able to contest that very easily. One of the first real leads here in the game 2 of this set. 2,500 gold in Memory of Gabe trying to answer back and get revenge on Team Eager.
Only 20 minutes in, though, so Memory of Gabe needs to figure out ways to extend this 2,500 gold lead. The experience lead is actually still in the favor of Eager, and they've been able to make huge impacts in these team fights to stall it out long enough to look for something in return, whether it's going to be a buff here, buff there, or even some towers in return. Getting something back is the name of the game for Team Eager. They're very calculating about the way they maneuver tactically. They pull you one way, and then they push you another.
That's a great way to put it, because in that last team fight we even saw underneath where the tier 2 tower once stood, everyone goes to help out Cynosure or Whalrus or whoever was getting chased, and the rest of Eager just jump on Hurriwind as soon as he's left alone. The communication is clearly there for In Memory of Gabe, and it's quick responses, very quick response time from them to peel it off, but everyone is just kind of working it as the same mind, and that's what you usually see as teams. Initially, there's not a whole lot of teamwork, and then everyone starts reacting very quickly to the same thing. And then once you take it even a little bit more time than that, you start to move in individual units. Everyone knows exactly what their job is. So when Hurriwind's screaming, "I need peel," maybe Whalrus doesn't turn and instead looks to help out Snoopy, knowing that Eonic is going to be there to help out the mid laner.
Snoopy was even doing a good job peeling for Hurriwind. Whenever djpernicus is coming to land from the branches, he's popping that Petrify, not only to get the CC immunity to prevent the knockup, but just to do more damage onto djpernicus, because he's always going to land on that backline. It's either going to be onto Snoopy or onto Hurriwind, so you might as well throw out that ultimate, doing a lot of damage. And if DJ does choose to go on Snoopy and he's positioned in such a way that he'll get petrified, he's going to be forced into very early purification beads, which is going to benefit the rest of Memory of Gabe.
Too early to try and steal away the Fire Giant for In Memory of Gabe, so instead they're just going to try and secure this Portal Demon Best, thinking about maybe using through space and time. DJ's also around the backside. All of Eager is here this time around. There goes Zap up into the sky, as does DJ. Looking to take the fight through space and time. Hurriwind falling very low very quickly, but an excellent Fear No Evil splits the fight. Aror is the first one to fall. Divios is in trouble as Whalrus picks up the best. Zapman finally finds the enemy mid laner, but the rest of Eager forced to retreat.
1-4-2, Eager on the worst end of these things. The Fatalis, though, is going to be able to chase down djpernicus. A little crit as well, getting additional movement speed from that Wind Demon, but it's not enough to catch the rat after the dash. Finally, Memory of Gabe respond in the later stages of the game where the respawn timers actually matter to get these late game objectives. And with the beautiful defensive ultimate from not only Cynosure's Fear No Evil, but the Wrath of Terra from Eonic, picking up Aror so quickly in that team fight was what allowed them to win, not to mention Whalrus executing the best on the left-hand side.
And a great meditation from Eonic, keeping Hurriwind alive as long as possible. Hurriwind jukes around in that lightning storm, which is exactly what you're supposed to do with Zeus. You know you're going to fall. When you're playing Zeus and you get dove by double globals, you know you're dead. It's just a matter of how much damage can I put out? Who can I take with me? And at the end of the day, Zeus takes down 2 alongside him, allows In Memory of Gabe to secure that Portal Demon in their favor.
Unless your name is Lobster and you go a very tanky build, and then you have your support go Kepri, and then you just never die.
Then you just do as much damage anyways because you're Zeus, and who needs to build damage on Zeus?
That's just a different style of plays, which is always interesting to see between North America and Europe. And honestly, it doesn't even matter what region you're from. A lot of teams will also deviate in terms of their god compositions, their itemizations, and how they play with those kinds of styles.
The problem here for In Memory of Gabe and Team Eager really is that both mid laners have fallen a little bit behind in farm just due to the nature of how much fighting there has been. Little skirmishes, positioning, posturing, things of that nature has really allowed these junglers to get ahead in farm. You see djpernicus level 18, Cynosure level 17, Hurriwind just now hitting level 16. 2-level deficit, not that big of a deal. 3-level deficit is where you start to get a little bit concerned. When I'm looking at level 18 Ratatoskr and I'm level 15, I get a little nervous, even with that Dynasty Plate Helm, even with something like an Ethereal Staff. But now that Hurriwind's starting to catch up a little bit in farm, I like this decision from both teams to slow it down yet again. Both these teams very willing to play the long con, play it patient, and wait until the late stages of the game.
The biggest difference here is the difference between Snoopy and Zapman. 2,000 gold net worth advantage for this Medusa player, able to make a bigger impact than the last game. Snoopy was actually behind 2 levels because of all the pressure that djpernicus applied to him, but this time it's Memory of Gabe that's been forcing these Gold Furies fights, and Eonic has just been in the right position at the right time with the timings of these Wrath of Terrors to really allow his mid laner and his hunter to successfully win these engagements.
Gold Fury falling very quickly, and a Memory of Gabe get it in the blink of an eye. Eager never have a chance to respond. That's going to push that gold lead up to the 5K mark, basically. Snoopy here going to maybe eat that Unstable Vortex. He will, along with Whalrus, but that healing, that sustain option from Eonic is going to make that fairly irrelevant. And one of the things, you were talking about how great these defensive Wrath of Terras have been, and you were talking about different playstyles. We've seen many Sylvanuses go for the Blink, try and find the initiation. Eonic's on the opposite. There's the initiation from Eager, the Blink, Fear No Evil from Cynosure, and immediately Aror is just erased. Cynosure gonna take the damage, and Zapman picks him up. 1 for 1 so far.
Divios trying to juke around for a little bit. He can take either portal that he wants to, finally finding the dash through, using the Aegis, djpernicus. Zapman's gonna fall in the backline to Whalrus, making a huge impact as this soul laner, throwing out those death siphs, the meditation from Eonic, keeping everybody topped off. Wisps is going to be used as well, finding 2 picks from Eager, as well as forcing out Divios. Could be potentially opening a window for Fire Giant.
4v3, but you see Best and DJ both still alive, both healthy, ready to go and try and defend this Fire Giant, but Memory of Gabe going to try to get it going. Divios teleporting in on the backside. Memory of Gabe, don't know he's here. Trying to wrap around, find the root onto Snoopy, and guarantees a knock-up onto Eonic.
Taking a little bit of damage there from that Fire Giant, and the damage over time is going to force out the reset. And Eager, they still aren't in it. They're only down about 5,000 gold. This is not insurmountable at the 26-minute mark. Their experience is practically even. Now, they do have a 2-level disparity in the soul lane, level 18 Terra versus level 20 Thanatos, but that's not something that's too much to worry about. The only thing they have to worry about is taking too much damage in the early stages of these team fights, because Whalrus has been twice now successfully able to execute somebody, and this time around it's been onto Aror. And the problem with Shen is he's not going to get his heal up until 4 seconds once he pops that ultimate, and that's a plenty time window for Memory of Gabe between Zeus, between Medusa at the later stages to just blow him up.
Was Fire Giant the right call there, Toli? You're up 4v3, you've got a man advantage, but you still have to deal with 2 damage dealers and a really tanky frontliner. You've got 2 towers to take on either side lane. Would you have rather seen a Memory of Gabe go for one of the towers, or do you think trying to pull that Fire Giant was the right call?
Ooh, Whalrus is going to go into the sky. I would have said like the tier 2 tower mid would have been, but it's down, so not really able to get anything there. Not going to connect onto that stun, though. Eonic is going to have to back on out. The chain lightning's down into the sky is Zap, and djpernicus diving the backline, doing a lot of damage onto Hurriwind.
They're looking for the Zeus, but he's got that peel once more. Through space and time fired off as well. Divios finds a nice 2-man root. Snoopy forced into that Aegis, knocked up by Aror. There's the chain lightning damage out of Hurriwind. All of a Memory of Gabe a little bit poked out, at least the 2 damage dealers, the primary ones in Hurriwind and Snoopy, but that healing from Eonic still staying relevant right underneath 10,000 so far in this game. A lot of ultimates used there by both teams. Only Eonic still has his available.
And this is a very important ultimate to have in this team fight, that finding multiple people in the knockup, especially around these jungle fights where Zeus can make such a huge impact with the chain lightning off of his shield. Obviously, Snoopy can throw out that Petrify as well whenever that's going to be back available. And this is something Memory of Gabe have to be careful with their positioning. Bait out Eager into a spot where if they're going to dive you that heavily, funnel yourself through a little tunnel and use all your AoE to prevent everyone else from saving djpernicus.
And that was a very tight corridor there. Frenzy popped by in Memory of Gabe. They're trying to sneak away this Fire Giant, but Aror knows it's happening. There's the root in from Eonic through space and time, but it still goes the way of a Memory of Gabe. All 5 members have the Fire Giant. Now they're looking to take the fight.
They're going to be taking a little bit of time here before they decide to land in the backline. djpernicus, though, he's going to get stunned out. Nice Aegis, though, to prevent a lot of damage, but Aror is going to be the first victim. Second frontliner for Eager falls as well. Fear No Evil. Zapman falls. Batz is going to fall. That's 4 dead, and this could be a deicide.
Divios trying to run away with that movement speed from his ultimate. I don't know if a Memory of Gabe even want to chase him. Whalrus will. There's the blink, and the deicide goes the way of in Memory of Gabe. No towers necessary this time around. They're marching right down for this middle Phoenix.
The respawn timers is just too long. Aror is going to be back up in 15 seconds. There's 4 towers for Eager here. It's going to be a very tanky Titan for Memory of Gabe, but they have the Zeus ultimate. This Titan is actually melting.
No response whatsoever. Team Eager take game 1, no problem. In Memory of Gabe respond with a game of their own right over that 29-minute mark, in Memory of Gabe end up splitting the series with Team Eager.
Very impressive comeback from Memory of Gabe off of game 1. You know, surrendering at the 17-minute mark to winning in 29. It wasn't easy, but they got the job done.
They got the job done is right. Hindu Man, how did they get that job done?
Well, getting that job done wasn't that easy for them, because I'm going to take you back to game 1 first of all. Yes, that set was a split if you just tuned in between Eager and Memory of Gabe as well. But back in game 1, it was all Eager. It looked like Memory of Gabe kind of woke up a little bit groggy today. Zapman started things off nicely after the first blood in mid lane, getting himself a double kill. And from this moment alone, you could just see that it was a fantastic little performance from Eager early on. The 16-minute surrender vote came through at the end from Memory of Gabe. They realized they weren't in a very good position there. We can look at the end-of-game stats just to see how much of a one-sided affair this really was between the two in that first game. 10 kills, 0 deaths on the side of Eager. 17 assists, which shows there was decent kill participation out of the team as well. And it didn't take very long for that one to end whatsoever. But then again, you go into game 2, and we just witnessed Memory of Gabe came back into it. Took a little bit longer than game 1, though, 30-minute mark roughly given for how this game went. But it was a good performance from all the carries on Memory of Gabe here. Snoopy stepped up, Hurriwind stepped up, and Whalrus in the solo lane playing the Thanatos really made an impact in this game too, looking to chase down all the carries. And not necessarily the carries, but the squishies on the team. Really focused in early on onto TheBest and onto djpernicus. And whenever Aror took a 2-step far forward, he was also brought down as well. The team as a whole played very well. Snoopy, Hurriwind had fantastic damage output as a whole, but it was Whalrus that really cleaned up most of the kills for this team, being involved in a lot of individual plays where you can see him taking on Best on his own, making sure Best cannot make an impact with those unstable vortexes all through space and times as well. Continuing on from this, Memory of Gabe though, it wasn't the greatest performance in the world from them. They will be very disappointed about how game 1 went. And they did fight back nicely in game 2, correcting some of their minor issues and giving Whalrus something like Thanatos to be able to cause some problems was very, very helpful for them. Heading to the post-game stats as well now, and you can see exactly how the tail of the tape worked out here as well. 5.6k structure damage from Memory of Gabe, 62 assists. Just shows how close these teams are team fighting, and there's not a lot of individual kills going on here. And total gold lead there, just about 9,000 in favor of Memory of Gabe at the end. Good from Memory of Gabe, I guess. But everyone was asking to see how Memory of Gabe would do up against Eager. Well, you got your result now. It's a split. But next up...